Baby! And welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Nyake and I enthuse about life. And today is another girl chat, which is where we get to talk about life, nuggets that I'm learning, and everything in between. So today we are going to talk about self-care. I've talked about self-care before on this channel, but that was like 2 years ago. It was this video here. But today I want to talk about self-care, what self-care looks like now, and how self-care has changed for me in the past few years. So grab a drink, let's get into it. All right. So for today, we are going to be talking about self-care while I do some elements of my self-care, and we are going to be doing my morning routine with La Roche-Posay products. So I won a giveaway that was being hosted by this page on Instagram, and it was a bunch of La Roche-Posay products. It's actually a whole routine based off of my skin, and I want to try these products for the first time, and we'll talk about them while we talk about self-care. I'm gonna start with washing my face. It's usually the first step of my skincare routine. So the first thing we're going to talk about when I wash my face is what self-care means to me. So a lot of times when you hear self-care, it's always going to the spa, going for a vaginal. Why do people go for those things? Going for something that's technically indulgent, because it's been sold to us that self-care is spoiling yourself, and everything about spoiling yourself has to do with you buying. I feel like it's almost been commercialized as um as everything has, but it's ruined the whole essence of taking care of yourself as a thing. Like, hardly do you ever think about self-care as taking care of yourself, but you think about it as indulging, in other words. And so as I've grown, I've had to, of course, because adulting is so real, and also because no amount of indulgence usually changes the state of self-worthlessness, or the state of not feeling as, not being as present for yourself as you should. No sense of indulgence usually can cure that, but being present does. So for me, self-care has stopped being so much going for manicure, going for a pedicure, going for, oh my god, that sound, ugh, going for a manicure, going for a pedicure. It stopped being going for things that are basically indulgent, which I still do, but it's become more of how do I show up for myself based on my circumstances in the best way possible. I'm going to quickly remove this. I would have rinsed it properly, but who likes dealing with dripping hands? Not me. Anyway, so it's become more of showing up for myself in the best way that I can, that is usually very contextual. So sometimes showing up for myself means honoring my deadlines. It means that if I actually don't honor my deadlines, if I keep procrastinating, I will not get the thing done that I want to do. Sometimes it means working on things that I don't feel like working on because it's the best way to go about things. Yeah. And sometimes it's washing my face and taking care of my skin. And regardless of whether I'm tired or not, because I know what I want for my skin, and not doing that is not showing up for myself. So today I want to explore some ways that I have begun to show up for myself that is, I guess, different, or I have learned to show up for myself. So the first way I show up for myself, of course, is through skincare. Apart from the fact that I really enjoy skincare and it's something I'm really super interested in and I enjoy doing, it's also the fact that taking care of my skin is really taking care of my health. So I have acne, and acne is not only cosmetically challenging, it's a cosmetically challenging condition to have, but it is also like really, really painful. I really don't like when the zits come because they bother me a lot. And so part of doing that is taking care of my skin. So I actively show up for my skin every day, even when I'm out of it, even when I'm tired, I actively show up for my skin every day because I know what will happen if I don't. Okay? And sometimes it can edge on being a chore, but in most times it's just a way that I get to steal away and have some time for myself and just really just focus on doing something nice for myself. So skincare is a really, really good space to for me, and I think it's a good space for a lot of us to start. I talk about skincare on Instagram. If you want to start your skincare and you don't know where to start, or if you're just looking to see how some products work, whatever product I've tried, I've talked about it on Instagram. So the next thing I'm going to do is spray my face. So I was given this thermal spring water. So technically, I think this is water because the ingredients just say it's water. Um, it's water. It's La Roche-Posay water. I have no idea what that is. Um, I just like how it mists on my skin. I'm not sure that this is a thing I would repurchase. Just because I don't know that I want to buy water in a can. But it feels nice, to be fair, and I use it a lot in misting my skin in between applying makeup or in between doing my skincare. So today we're going to use this spring water as toner. Sometimes I skip the toner step, sometimes I don't, and I don't know, I enjoy it. So the next way that I show up for myself um, is in taking care of my health. So the thing is, as an adult, unlike the way you are as a child, as an adult, nobody is going to water you. Nobody is going to be like, hey, have you eaten today? What did you eat? Unless, of course, you have a nice mom or I don't know. But nobody is going to really just run after you and ask you things about whether you've taken care of yourself. You have to show up in that way for yourself. So, taking care of your health looks like ensuring you have regular movement, ensuring that um, you have regular sleeping hours, ensuring that you rest properly, you work out properly, you basically do things that are good for your body for your own sake. So I have been doing that in and out. My workout struggles, my diet sometimes struggles, but I do ensure that I do have a healthy balance of those two, and or I try as much as possible to ensure I have a healthy balance of those two in my um, lifestyle. Now, the other thing I have started to doing is being financially responsible. Now, this is a very hard topic to talk about. Now, as we talk about this, we are going to be applying the Ifaclar Duo, the La Roche-Posay Ifaclar Duo, anti-imperfections, anti-imperfections, corrective and clogging care, anti-imperfections, anti-marks, anti-UV. So this is a sort of moisturizer with some actives. I was reading through the ingredients and it has some niacinamide. So this one is the one that has SPF and it's SPF 30. It has niacinamide, it has some zinc, and I think it has salicylic acid, which sort of helps with people who have acne skin. So, as an adult, one of the things that you probably are going to struggle with is being financially responsible. And it, I don't know, my thoughts about financial responsibility being a form of self care started when I came across a post on Instagram which said, fixing your credit is a way of showing up for yourself, like, let alone these things that really want you to spend. You actively investing in yourself by being financially responsible is a way of self-care. So I started to think about it sort of in a way as a way of self-care. And the first thing I started to do, or I and B particularly started to do, is come up with some level of budget. So what budgeting helped us to do is it helped us prioritize what you're getting when, what you want to do, and gives you some level of perspective so that you technically don't overestimate your abilities. I think which is the greatest problem we have, which is overestimating your abilities. So we started to budget, and one thing that B taught me was putting away a percentage of your money as savings before the month starts. So I have started to do that. I'm pretty young at this, but he's pretty good at that. And just being able to grow a saving, being able to budget and stick to your budget, knowing what to do after you have some leftover money at the end of the month. What do you do about that? And being able to prioritize things to fit within your financial capacity is something that is a form of self-care that is really, really, really underrated. Um, there is an article I came across this week, and remember last time when I talked about investing and how people are not clear about what to invest in and how to go about it. There's an article that this is essential had this week that I'm going to link down below that is really, really helpful, or was really, really helpful when it came to looking into investment and how you can think about it, and they try and explain a little bit. It's an article by Personomics, so you can go and check it out. But yes, financial responsibility is one of those things that people never really look at as self-care, but it's one of the most efficient ways of self-care. When you're able to manage your finances, it sort of puts things into perspective, and it makes it easy for you to be able to make moves that were essentially difficult to do because you budgeted your money and you saved and you invested. So look into it as a form of self-care. Another form of self-care is therapy. Now, I've talked about therapy in this video here. Therapy is again one of those things and one of those ways you are able to show up for yourself. And a lot of us walk around, I keep saying, we walk around with some level of emotional trauma and experiences that were not so nice that we went through as children, as young adults, and they affect how we view life. And sometimes those experiences can inhibit how we experience life. And so going for therapy is another way to really show up for yourself and is a form of self-care to be able to address things that affect you, that inhibit you, that challenge, that become a challenge and a hindrance to your growth. So I started therapy maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and I can attest that it's made me be able to be more present, more calm. The journey is up and down, but it's made me become more aware and more present in my life currently, and it's been one of the best ways I've shown up for myself. I have therapy in 2 days, and I'm so excited. And it's something that I really encourage everybody to go through, because we go through some things, and And sometimes we don't even realize how damaging those things are and how they inform how we interact and relate with people, and also how we show up for ourselves and the kind of messaging we have for ourselves. So going for therapy has really, really, really helped, and I have absolutely enjoyed going for therapy. The last way I want to talk about today of showing up for yourself is setting boundaries. So, this is setting both emotional and physical boundaries with people who are close to you, generally, boundaries with people, because that's another way you show up for yourself. And it's one of the most difficult ways I have found to show up for myself, because I've pretty much been a yes person. Now, when we're talking about boundaries, we are going to be using the La Roche-Posay Invisible Fluid Ultra Protection, Ultra Resistant Shaka Fluid. So this is usually called the Shaka Fluid, and it's sunscreen. It's SPF 50, and it's sunscreen for oily skin mostly. So they usually recommend it for oily skin. I'm really looking forward to trying it. I usually review sunscreens, by the way, on Instagram, and we talk about the filters and how it feels on your face. So check out for that. This is my first time using it, so a lot of this product is the first time using them, and I am testing them, and we'll talk about them later. So yes, so setting boundaries for me has been really, really difficult. I grew up being the good child, one of the good children, and being a good child usually means you sort of inadvertently become such a people pleaser. And for me, setting boundaries was one of those things I was like, how the hell do I do that? And so, learning through therapy how to set boundaries and actually setting boundaries and realizing how much of a choice I have over my life has really been a game changer in how I show up for myself. So you see, initially, when you just show up indiscriminately for everyone, what happens is it really bores into yourself. You barely have time for enough rest. You barely have time to do things that you want to do for yourself. Like, for instance, me and my skincare. You have uh, even the, what is it called? Even the ability, the resources to be able to show up for yourself, you kind of miss them because you are really showing up for people. And I also found that it was interesting. It's like I was overstretching, and it was so much easier for me to show up for other people than to show up for myself, or to give other people the benefit of doubt than to give myself the same benefit of doubt. So I started to learn to set boundaries. And that, of course, started with how the kind of conversation, the kind of self-talk I was having, and the kind of conversation I was having within myself. And so by changing that, it gave me more of a power to set boundaries and to decide, this is where I'm willing to go. This is where I'm going without hurting myself. And that really became a way of me taking care of myself, because part of taking care of myself and showing up for myself in the best way was not overspending myself so that I was taking so much time to recuperate, but just giving as much as I am able to. So that is what I started to do. I'm pretty young in this, and I still don't show up in the best way. Like, I still don't know how to set my boundaries properly. And sometimes I feel guilty for setting boundaries, but it's something that I'm learning to do, and I'm really enjoying learning how to set boundaries and just setting boundaries. And sometimes I feel like slightly asinine for doing that, but I know it's the best thing for me, and so I I just try to show up and set up boundaries for myself. And that is how self care has changed, really, for me. Um, I think when you start to prioritize yourself, it's really hard, especially if you have previously not been even in the list of priorities. And sometimes people take it as you being an ass, or oh, you have changed. But ideally, what you just did was start showing up for yourself and start according yourself the benefit of doubt that you've been according others and not yourself. And I think it's something that's kind of hard, especially as a woman, and also as a quote unquote good child, and especially even as someone who professed or professes Christianity, that's a very difficult and sort of touchy subject, because every time someone's gonna say, "Hey, you're selfish," or you're being an ass, but really, no, it's showing up. It's just knowing your limits. So the camera cut off, and I don't know where I was. So what I was saying is, self-care, it looks like different things to different people depending on where you are in life. And you technically should be able to define what self-care looks like for you. This week for me, self-care has been preparing a good meal, because I haven't been technically having a good meal for the last 1 week. And today was showing up for myself and doing my skincare in the morning and dressing up, which I'm about to do. I'm gonna show you my outfit. And that can look like different things every day, different situation. A lot of times people are used to you being a walkover just because it benefits them. And the minute you cannot benefit them, it becomes a problem. And so I just want to challenge you guys. Like, I know it's difficult, and I know you can feel, because I feel that too. I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm very asinine, or when I say no to something, or when I decide, hey, I cannot show up in this way, I cannot pick a call right now, my mind is not there. It feels like I feel so bad. Like, I feel like, oh my God, I'm disappointing my ancestors. But I've realized that it's essential to have boundaries. It's essential to show up. It's essential to protect your peace. One of the biggest ways, or one of the biggest understandings I have of self-care, is not overspreading yourself so that you have to take so much time to recuperate, but making sure the things that you assign, the boundaries, the limits that you put in yourself, are able to serve you and are able to make you show up for others in the best way you can. So go forth and take care of yourself. I'm so excited to see how you guys take care of yourself in the comment section. This can be a really interesting subject to talk about. And of course, and I hope that the things that I've shared with you guys about how my self-care looks like, what aspects of self-care I incorporate, are really, really helpful. If you, of course, you have any questions, reach out to me, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. For now, it's a bye from me.